And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to What's 3D Printing, the wonderful 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time stream that y'all just can never wait until the next week to get another one. Is that good?
Sure.
And ladies and gentlemen, today we have a guest. James, will you please welcome our guest?
Well, you all know him. You all love him. He's coming live to you from the basement once again. I thought I'd taken over the basement spot, but Basement Chris is back, aka well, it's not Chris's basement anymore. It's just Chris Riley now, right?
Well, for now, yeah. But I'm turning this way because I'm only addressing James.
Ah, that's good.
Yes, James. Please make our guest aware that I understand he is here, but that I choose to not speak to him directly.
Correct. Yes. So Chris, Glenn would like you to know that he is glad that you're here. We're glad to have you on the show. But you will have to pose all your questions through me to him going forward.
That sounds fair enough, and I am glad to be here. But I would like him to know that I'm only going to talk to you because I'm here for you and not for him.
Chris would like you to know that he's only here for me and not for you, and that you smell.
Well, that's understandable. Let Chris know I appreciate him being here for any reason.
Chris, Glenn would like you to know that he appreciates you being here for any reason whatsoever. So I guess we should be walking down, right? Like this?
James can't keep this up forever.
Oh, I bet you I can. I just gotta get my directions right. So talking to Chris, talking to Glenn. Talking to Chris, talking to Glenn.
So I still like it's not as heavy as when we first stopped doing the FKB streams, but I still every once in a while get somebody asking me like what happened, you know, like Oh no, Chris Lane saying it's not July 15th. Well, did I label the video wrong?
You probably did.
Oh, maybe it was in it was in a tweet. Whatever. You're here, aren't you? That's all that matters.
Dates are hard.
Don't get all riled up because Riley's here.
Don't get all riled up.
Rileyed up.
I almost wrote Rileyed up, but I'm like, oh, that's too obvious. So I just put Riled, but with a capital R.
The images were really obvious. And then the one that was really pixelated, if you take those images and like shrink them down to thumbnail size, they clear up. Like not perfectly, but you can tell a lot better what it is.
I was sharing the link to this stream this morning, and I really enjoyed the thumbnail with the background, just a bit of background around it. I had to point that out.
Quarter inch around, right?
I really liked that one.
Well, and then I did the one where I clipped out, like I had clipped out the I think it was Martin's sticker and Tom Llama sticker on your board, and the roll of filament, and then the MakerBox logo. I was going to do a circle over the drum cymbal, but I was pretty sure that would have definitely given it away.
Yeah. No, Mike never let the machines win. We talk about shirts. I didn't know to coordinate. I would have switched out my shirt real quick, and I could have worn somebody else's logo. But
I'll Photoshop it in later.
There you go. I'll just stay kind of relatively in this position, and then it'd be easy to add in.
Good to go.
Oh no, Premiere will do it where it'll you can get it to trace it.
Excellent. So what's been up, guys? Haven't talked to either one of you, like, you know, rather than Twitter chat messages in a long time.
It has been a long time. Well, you're a busy guy. I don't produce any content, and you produce all the content.
I'm always gearing up to produce more content and then never do it.
Yeah. I get the feeling a lot, you know, producing content. Sometimes I'll get in the mode, like it's like right now I'm not actually producing content. I'm taking a couple of weeks off, but I'm just doing live streams. But it's like you get in the mode, it's like I can't even imagine myself ever making one more video. It just seems way too daunting. You know, you get this in your mind. It's like it's not going to happen. How could I possibly go down there and talk for, 3 hours and try to make a video? It's never happening again. But then eventually it comes back and I'll manage to crank out just one more. So.
Well, I always run into the issue where I come up with really great ideas, but I sit on them too long, and then somebody else does them. Usually you, but
I think a good example is that project I've been working on that you linked me to. That there's somebody else has already released something that does what I'm trying to do.
Well, of course, almost everything is out there. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of doing it anyway, and then stumbling on that one thing that somebody didn't do, or doing it a little bit differently, or better, or worse, or whatever. So
Yeah. No, I get the same thing all the time. I try not to watch a lot of content because I don't want to be, I don't want to copy, exactly what somebody did. So if I do something again, then it will be somewhat original. I had no idea, but it's hard
Right.
to do that being on YouTube.
Yep. Somebody's already always done what you've done or what you've set out to do. I get lots of stuff where like I changed up the formats in my past few videos, and then somebody immediately was like, "You're ripping off Ben Hack." I'm like, okay.
No, I like when you make a video and then a year later somebody else releases a video and then you get accused of copying it.
Yeah. Somebody accused me one time of ripping off the hang printer, and like I was trying to say that I made it and invented it. Like, well, I could get you the guy's phone number that did make it, because I talk to that guy all the time. Because I had no idea what I was doing.
Well, that's the downside to being a YouTuber.
Yep, there's ups and downs.
So I'm playing with the variable layer height tool in Prusa, which I've never done before, and it seems a little confusing to me, but maybe I'm just dumb. Either of you played with it?
Nope.
So basically, it opens up a view of the model, which I guess I could probably toss up on the screen. Give me a second.
That's got to be something that they've added recently.
Oh yeah, because you were running like a 2-year-old version for the longest
Yeah,
time.
I was still using Slicer PE, and
oh,
and I just I've missed that, and I just went to Prusa Slicer.
Let's see, Prusa Slicer.
I just recently went to Prusa Slick 3R.
Oh, the Prusa Slicker.
I so wish they would have left the 3 in that. just to keep it going a little bit longer.
Okay, so here is the variable tool. So you can see I've got my model that's sliced, and you can see it's pretty chunky at the top. And if I mouse over on the right hand side, there's like a height bar. So you can see, I'm pretty sure that's coming across. You see the yellow pulsing up and down the top of it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So then if you click and drag and go down, you can see that it adds this like line where it's varied the layer height. And if you go back and forth, it looks like it continues to add sort of more variance to try and make it more detailed. So that's down to 0.1 layer height. But I don't know if adjusting this down to like 0.5 makes it even better. Let's find out.
So it'll do your layer heights at whatever, but then you can change it anytime that you want to.
So yeah, you can basically highlight a section and say that this is better or worse, and then right clicking on it makes it chunkier. It's like make everything chunky. There we go. So maybe that's what I want to do. Maybe I want to start off by putting the detail level nice and low, or sorry, nice and high. I'm debating which printer I'm going to print this on because I've got the camera on the CR10 right now and I'm very lazy. So if I go to like a 0.12 detail level, and then we go through here and yeah, see how nice and detailed that gets? But still, we're hitting 0.1 is the lowest it'll go, which might be a setting that it doesn't allow you to go beyond. Let's try switching this to the Prusa printer.
Yeah, wouldn't like your minimum layer height have something to do with the nozzle and stuff that's installed?
Yeah, so I've been doing research on the minimum layer height, and it sounds like 0.1 is the lowest they recommend you go with a 0.4 nozzle. Chris, do you have any experience with that?
With low layer heights on different nozzle sizes?
Yes.
Or, yeah. You can get down to 50 micron. I mean, if you really work at it, but it's not worth the hassle on a 4 nozzle. one is actually, it can be somewhat challenging depending on what you're trying to do. That though, having some experience with that model that you're working with right now, just a little bit that I was messing around with, that grade is quite unique on the top of that. So variable layer height might be, that's the first thing I thought when I saw it.
So I have printed. Sorry, I'll let you finish before I jump
well,
on.
yeah, it's just going at such an angle that without, because I actually printed one at like 1.2 to try to get some of that grade smoother.
Yep.
But yeah, variable would probably be your best bet.
So I've printed. A second, let me get my camera back up here, and we'll just shrink this down here. So I've printed multiple versions of this now, so this was the very first one. And this one here, and I think the problem's going to be is this is such a light filament that I think the camera's going to have a hard time knowing what to do with it. Anyway, so it does have that sort of ridge, which I don't mind the overall texture on the top of this. This was at, I think, 0.1 layer heights, and it still gives a decent amount of appearance to the curve. But then I switched the model and cut out the front so it could be printed on its back. And then this now prints that detailed section perfectly, obviously, because it doesn't have to. The variance is now this way versus this way.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is that the swirl, which is actually the fan mount, gets full of support material, so it's kind of rough around there, and the actual text on it doesn't come out as clear because it sags a little bit.
Yeah. I actually put a support blocker in that fan hole and just let the cross beams do its own thing, and it came out decently.
Tristan wants to know if that's for the Pi 4.
Yes, it is. So I've been working on the design. Basically, I'll walk through the mount on this and make sure it makes sense to everybody because I'm debating whether or not I'm going to adjust the design. So essentially, you've got a bottom panel, which I'm making sure is in camera angle. So you kind of tilt the front part forward. It's got enough flex in it. And line up the pieces on the side here. Doing this with my hands like that. And then you should be able to essentially just sort of snap into place. Sorry, it's tricky to do it while keeping it on high enough that it's on camera, but it goes in there relatively easy. So the final version, I've actually increased the tolerances in the front hole so it's easier to put together. But even the way as it is, it's not too tricky. There, like that. And then the actual model just slides together like this. And then there's some screw holes that go all the way through so you can close it in. So the 4 screw holes on the bottom are what are used to hold the Pi in and also hold the case together. And SD cards accessible from the back. HDMIs and everything from the side, and then the front USB and Ethernet. So that's this week's project. Oh,
Excellent.
Chris is building his 4th Ender 3.
Yeah, this is my 3rd one.
The 4th one's on the way.
Yeah, I thought while I was chatting with you, I might as well stick this thing together. It's not actually all that difficult.
It's like a 20-minute build.
If I were to say how many I've built versus I own, that number is a lot higher. Because I did build the one we gave away.
Have you built more than 20?
No, less than 10.
Less than 10? But still higher than 4.
Yeah, still much higher than 4. But that's what I'm going to do. No, this is not V2. This is just a V1. V2 is en route.
That's exciting.
I guess.
So what is this for a project that you need multiples, or are they just reliable and you have more stuff to do?
They are for projects. So the lists of projects are rampant, turning an Ender 3 into something else. So that's a lot of people have been contacting me like, hey, do you want one of these kits? It turns an Ender 3 to this, or it turns an Ender 3 into this. So that's what these are for.
Well, the problem is you don't have one Ender 3 and basically it's never in a state to print because you're always tearing it apart to do something else with it.
Exactly. And now this one, so Chameleon has taken over my stock Ender 3. The Panikit board has taken over my original Ender 3. So hopefully this one will be my stock Ender 3 from now on. And then the next one is going to get a Core XY kit. So yeah, that's my life.
I think 3D printing is consuming your life, my friend.
We're way past that. We did, I don't know. Go ahead, Jen.
Oh, I said, Glenn, say something. He's been quiet for too long.
I was looking at I was watching the chat and stuff, but I am installing the upgrade kit on my 2.5 to take it to a 2.5S, and I always cringe anytime I start upgrading this thing because it works so well, but it was time. It needed to be done.
Tristan asked if there's enough space for a low profile heatsink. I would need the dimensions. I'm looking at the picture of it right now.
On the top or bottom, because those low profile heat sinks on the bottom are only about an 1/8 inch, or like probably not even, maybe 2 millimeters thick. The top ones don't generally stick up any higher than the Ethernet ports.
Well, the one I'm looking at that he's talking about, the heatsink comes up to just above the Ethernet port, and then the fan's on top of it. So I would imagine, if I remove the mounting pieces for it's got room for a 30 millimeter fan in it. And I imagine if I removed that there'd be enough space to get it in there, no problem. There is I think a fair amount of, where's the blue one? There is a fair amount of clearance above. So I'd have to actually get one to try it. But the snag I run into is that if I buy all the hardware everybody wants me to test in the stuff I'm building, I'm going to go broke. I think my favorite thing so far is I've designed a couple of Orange Pi cases, and then I'll get somebody messages like, hey, can you adapt it to fit this Orange Pi? There's like 20 different Orange Pis. Like I can't afford to own all of them. I'm sorry. I've responded to a couple people with, if you want to donate the device, I'd be happy to adapt it. And
right, which there's nothing wrong with that.
They usually don't appreciate that.
Wait, that's crazy, but at the point that you would go through the process of adapting something for a piece of hardware that they want to use it for, I don't know, makes sense to me.
I get that question all the time. Can you show us how to do this? Like, well, I don't have one. And most of the time it's met okay, but sometimes it's like, we really need to know how to do this. Like, I'm sorry.
Well, I really need you to jot down my PayPal address.
Let's see who else.
You supply the stepper fusion files, and I'll mod it and send you the file once I've tested it. Ooh, on the intellectual rights, man.
I generally don't hand out the source files for it, but fire me a message on Twitter, and we'll figure it out. Also, I'm not selling these ones, so it's not really that big of a concern. But do you happen to have the height though for the Pi with the fan in, or how tall Maybe it's on the Amazon listing. I looked for the ultra, like the non-low profile one, and couldn't find the dimensions for it. The other thing that'll need to be adapted is because that heatsink requires mounting in, like it's got its own bottom, right? I think that's what you're talking about, Glenn. That heatsink has its own bottom that mounts to the bottom of the Pi so that it has something to bolt onto at the 4 mounting points.
I'll show you the one that I'm talking about. I put these on all of my Pis.
My Pis.
It's just that.
Okay, gotcha.
It's super, super thin. Now it does obviously stick down. It even sticks down a little bit more than the SD card slot, but it's so minimal.
Okay, well, what's the best way to get a hold of you, Tristan? We'll get it figured out. Yeah, I'm glad to try and make this case work with at least the low profile one, and I'll probably pick one up. I don't know. I'm designing so many cases right now, and I only have one Pi to go between them, so I don't know which one's going to become the permanent home.
John Strand mentioned that Creality should be sponsoring all these builds. I wouldn't say Creality is a sponsor of mine, but they have actually treated us very well over the years. So some of these machines I buy, some of them they are more than happy to hand over. So I would take a sponsorship if they really wanted to throw some cash at me, but they have treated us pretty good over the years.
I actually can't find an Amazon link that's still available for the low profile version in Canada. I see all the high profile ones, which there's no way this would ever fit, but
that's a high profile case.
Man, it always just makes me sick to my stomach to take this thing apart. Not that I don't think I can't make it get back to the where it was, but it's like, and it's time. It's all the time to get it back where it was.
I believe in you. You can do the thing.
You can do the thing. I was a little sad and kind of sick to my stomach the other day because my original Mark II, it's still just a Mark II. I haven't made any modifications to it. But all those printers were made out of ABS. ABS at some point it gets kind of brittle, and I went to pull the idler back to put filament in it, and the little tab snapped off. I'm like, oh no.
Mine did that as well.
Yeah. That's the first thing that really ever broke on it, and I was kind of, I don't know. I felt kind of strange at that point.
I don't know if strange is the word I used. I was pretty mad.
Well, I don't get mad. I just get
even.
I just get lazy. That's broke.
I think that's one of the things I talked to you about, Chris, is that I've got so many printers that I'm never actually going to return to working on because I can't run all of them at the same time anyways. I don't have enough. I don't have enough breakers in the basement, and I think I'm just going to sell off a bunch of them and free up some space.
Yeah. There are so many machines sitting around that I think to myself, I could get that back out and I could do this to it, and that would be pretty cool. But those are all the fleeting thoughts that I'm never going to do.
That's not how the YouTube grind works.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys watch Hoarders. Did you ever seen Hoarders on A&E?
Absolutely.
No,
I watch it.
It makes me twitch.
It makes me feel like I'm probably one of them.
Well, you run once in a while, you'll see an episode with one of those guys that has a yard full of broken cars and junk, and he's going to get to every one of those projects someday. And I can see Glenn right now, but that's exactly how I am with 3D printers.
That's my whole life, man. That's my whole life. I don't think I have a picture to share, but I bought a 99 Suburban this week. And all right, so backstory. I have a 92 Chevy pickup truck that I bought new in 92, and it was one of those conversions. It was done by a company called Tierra Motor Coach. So like it had the fade paint job and the running boards and all the fancy and the pleather interior.
Gotta have the
I drove it for quite a few years. Absolutely loved the truck, but it got GM rot where the paint started to flake off of it. So I worked out a deal with a local body shop to repaint it for me and trade for computer work. And they said, "Oh, it'll take us about 2 weeks." And I said, "That's great. I'm going on vacation. I'll drop it off before I leave. When I get back, it'll be done." That was like 20 years ago, and it's still not done. It escalated. Like all of a sudden I was shaving the body and like just doing all kinds of stuff to it. So to bring the story back in, I didn't have all of the interior because the aftermarket interior was complete junk. So I'd scrap most of the interior parts. So I bought this Suburban for the interior. I got a sweet deal on it. The only thing it was missing was the gas tank and the transfer case. But the interior is all there, and it's a little ratty, but it'll work. Like it's solid enough that I can reupholster it, and I will get to I will get to those projects.
I'm positive you will.
But I've always said that I would never rush that truck. I will never cut corners on that truck. Like everything is going to be done right.
I don't think I've ever actually had a project where I was willing to do that. Like, okay, I'm going to take as much time as it takes to do this project and do it right. I have those notions sometimes, like I'm totally going to do that. But then I get 75% in and then it's just, let's get this thing done.
Yep. Just make sure the duct tape isn't visible.
Yeah.
No, I've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, well, and dollars, into that truck so far, and so I want it to be right. I took the transmission in to be rebuilt to a guy that a buddy of mine knew, and later come to find out he wasn't really any good at rebuilding transmissions. So I never ended up going back to get the transmission. So I don't have the original transmission for it. And in the quest to find a new one, I just decided that I'm going to find a donor with a 454 big block and put in there. Because why not drive a half-ton truck with a 454 in it?
Why not? Gas is almost free now. Might as well.
Well, it's not that I'll be driving it that much anyway. And it's not that my other truck gets good fuel mileage.
I don't really remember the last time I drove a car. So,
well, I drove the other day to go buy the Suburban. I've actually been out twice this month. We had to take Xander to the doctor in Orlando, so that was that was a pretty good trek. And then I went about a half hour from here to buy that Suburban. But when we took Xander to the doctor, my wife doesn't like to drive in the big city, in the big city. So I go to drive, but she takes him in, so I don't have to go into a doctor's office. So, but that was the first time the four of us have gone anywhere together since February. So it was really weird.
I hear you. This has moon steppers on it. I don't think Creality has always used moon steppers, but this one has them. At
Interesting.
least the extruder one is. I don't know about the rest.
Are they legit?
This one looks like it's a real one. It's made February 29th, 20. Moon stepping motor. But that only on the extruder. The other ones aren't marked that way. Huh.
So I don't know if you guys can see, but Prusa Slicer has added random pieces of support material to the top of my model.
Here, let me put you full screen. That made it fuzzy.
I can't quite follow the logic.
It's a feature.
Well, must need to be there. They wouldn't put it in if it didn't need to be.
So I've tried to do, because like I can add a film a blocker, but I've found that you can't add a blocker at a specific layer height. Like it either has to be to the bed or not. I don't know if that's true for. I don't know if everybody else has noticed that. Because I should be able to basically just block off all support material from the top layers of this, and it's fine.
Right. You should be able to move that blocker wherever you want it.
Well, so I've been able to move it, but it seems like it ignores it if it's above a position where you're allowing supports. So if I do add box, where's the box? There's the box. And we'll move it. Nope. Didn't want to do that. Watch James as he learned how to 3D print for the first time.
Did any of us really learn how to 3D print, though? I would say no. I didn't. Anyway.
Every day I'm still learning.
I don't know what I did, but my model's now all the way over here. The best way to print, it thinks I have a belt printer. It's like, yeah, you can print it off in the middle of nowhere. That's no problem.
So there's a machinist, a pipe fitter, a millwright. You know, all these laborers have names. What do they call the guy that has to operate the 3D printer?
A
There
3D
has
printer.
to be a name, right?
A 3D printer.
Is he a 3D printer?
Well,
I mean,
what
that's a
do you call the guy that uses the machine that uses, say, electricity to bond two pieces of metal together?
well, he is the welder. I guarantee that. But I really want there to be a cool name.
Chris Riley. Everybody that fixes 3D printers is now known as Chris Riley.
I'll have to. Actually, though, you know, I would kind of like to know that answer. I'll ping Stefan at CNC Kitchen because that's kind of what he does. He's an engineer, but he works for a 3D printing company. That's kind of I don't know. That's kind of a weird notion because I would never say that I was a machinist, but I can operate set machines.
Filament Fred.
Filament Fred. My dad is an electrician by trade. He's retired now, of course, but he's an electrician, and they always call the electrician Sparky.
Sparky.
And he hates it when you call him Sparky.
That's shocking.
Yeah.
I do everything live on the air so people can see that I'm not really all that talented, and they'll stop asking me questions.
Sean Butler
People
said,
are like, how did you learn? Oh, go ahead.
Sean Butler said an extruder.
An extruder. Yeah, no, that's not bad. Not bad.
I get people that ask, how did you learn to do this? I'm like, it's always brute force.
Yeah, you just do it until something works.
See what it does. Have you guys seen this channel, Ordinary Sausage?
No.
It's a channel where a guy makes sausage out of just random things. He did a video the other day where he makes a sausage out of a whole fish, like chops the fish up, bones and everything, and pushes it through the meat grinder. It's his presentation that makes it funny. He's got I think it may be a Jersey accent, possibly like, I don't know, maybe Brooklyn. I'm not great with accents or whatever, but he rates the sausage at the end of the videos, and it's pretty funny. Yeah, the fish. He does one where he breaks up candy and turns it into a sausage, and he's like, I think I'm gonna be bold with this one and go with a 1 out of 5.
Nope, never seen that one.
No, I don't think I would click on that just based on the name.
I want to make sure that the support material is actually like not getting cut off prematurely because of the blockers I put in, but I think it looks like it's fine. Okay, never mind. I take back what I said. This works fine, and I'm just stupid. Although that was one of the options I presented. Okay, let's slice it. Oh wait, it was already sliced. It's a 9-hour print.
I don't think that'll be done by the end of the stream.
That's okay. I'm going to crank the thing up to 1,000%. Knocks into what, like 46 minutes?
We've gone plaid. What is that tone?
What tone? The one that just played?
Yeah.
It's like if you press an invalid key or something.
Oh.
I think that was me ejecting a USB port or a USB or an SD card. I don't know. I said USB. Let's find out. I'm going to do it again.
It's just quiet enough for me to think it's not that tone.
Okay.
Ready? It sounds like an elevator door opening or something.
Here we go.
Yeah.
It's James's elevator in his basement.
Yeah.
It's true.
They're
I had to
going
do
up?
something to. I had to do something to beat Chris's basement. So only one man would dare blow me the raspberry. Lone Star.
Space
Sure hope I
Falls.
can get all this back together. Otherwise, I have to invite Shane over for dinner.
Chain for Prusa or just same old chain. That's
Same
right.
old thing, yeah.
I broke my chair, so I have to be careful about how I sit in it. Otherwise, it's gonna like fully break and I'm gonna fall.
Oh, please let that happen on live stream.
The problem is the chair is designed to hold 100 pounds more than I weigh, but I'm not gentle on furniture. I throw myself into the chair every time I sit down. The other day, I threw myself into the chair and two of the welds in the back let go, and all of a sudden I'm just tilted backwards. I'm like, what's going on? I thought I broke one of the wheels because you expect plastic wheels to break before metal, but
Man, there's a lot of parts in this extruder.
whoopsie pupsie.
Oh, there's some melted parts on this extruder.
Oh, well, time for maintenance.
That's normal.
It's like it's all melted back here. And then it's white.
Well, I need to tilt that camera up so you guys can see what's going on and get a better angle.
Pat Jones said, just watched Spaceballs last night. It wasn't as good as I remembered it.
This Pi camera takes forever to refresh now. I blame Chris.
It was probably my fault.
There we go. Now it's printing and playing. I was thinking about starting a Twitch account and calling it Play and Print, so that the YouTube channel focuses mostly on printing and a little bit of playing, and then the Twitch account focuses on playing with a little bit of printing.
Twitch. Nobody uses that.
That's where Chris Riley hangs out. Oh, I wasn't supposed to tell everybody that.
I was gonna say that's how I go incognito and nobody knows who I am. I go to Twitch. I've only ever been on Twitch once, actually.
Did Tristan ever respond to me about the best way to get in contact with him? I know he said he doesn't use the Twitters.
No, he emailed me the other day. So he'll probably email you.
Yeah, you can send me an email at printandplayj@gmail.com. Also, I've been trying to fix my branding. I'm following in the footsteps of Brother Glenn. So I'm now JC Print and Play on Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. But still Print and Play on here because I don't want to give that up.
You guys have branding?
Branding's important.
Chris, your entire workspace is your brand. Except then you change the name away from Chris's basement. Now it doesn't make any sense. You're just a guy named Chris who's in his basement.
But I did come to the notion, the reality that I would never leave the basement now. Like I had hopes of having a shop someday and, moving to a nice facility. It's never going to happen. I will be stuck right here.
I think so. Kay and I have talked about if the YouTube stuff ever took off, which seems exceedingly unlikely as I go forward, because even as I look at the people that have made a career out of stuff related to 3D printing, they, I don't think I can reach as big of an audience is my concern. I'm not as knowledgeable as the Chris Rileys of the world. I'm very much dedicated to video games, and the number of people that are both into video games and 3D printing seem to be not as high numbered as I had originally hoped. But we did talk about trying to rent a space, and I'm like, the problem with renting a space for me to have like my office and stuff set up is then I'm still going into work every day, and I have to actually have the drive to do that. What's in the basement, I can come downstairs for like a half an hour, film something, and then go do something else. So basement's the way to go, but it's a blessing and a curse. It's like being able to work from home, right? So those days where you're stuck 3 o'clock in the morning thinking about something because you can go and fix it without having to go into the office. Or is that just me?
I'm
Yeah,
never more than a couple of feet from work.
Well, I mean, that's not true. I was going to say I still don't get up and work, but that's not true. There's times when I can't sleep at night if I'm not sleeping anyway and I have a hard deadline to meet, I'll work through the night on a job, but not very often.
Did you guys see the thing somebody posted asking if anybody had designed a 3D printable case for a Game Boy or a Game Boy Advance?
Yeah.
And Shane tagged me as like, and it's like JC Print and Play is the one to go to for a casing. And the guy's like, LOL, his profile on Twitter says 3D printing and retro gaming, which is the two things he was looking for. It's like, yeah, that's kind of my forte. That's where the two meet. He had suggested trying to use a 3D scanner to scan an original Game Boy case, But I think the problem with scanning is I think scanning works better for like organic models and stuff you want to make a visual representation of.
And
It
where,
doesn't-
where tolerances aren't super important.
Exactly. So I think I'm better off trying to find the measurements and overall like original design schematics for the case and then designing it from scratch than trying to start off with a scanned model and then make it work. What do you think, Chris Riley?
I agree with everything you just said.
Oh, that's good. Makes me feel validated. You guys are all doing productive stuff, and I'm just sitting here ignoring chat as always. Zolan says, 3D printing and gaming is about all I've done in the past year. Hey, I fully support that. I'm just saying that we're not in the majority, unfortunately. I had somebody message me one day and say, you know what, I love the videos you do and the information you put out, but I just can't get over your voice. It's like, thank you.
Why do people feel? Why do they feel it was necessary to take the time to write that to you?
And like people rib on me for my weight and stuff like that, and I don't care because that's something I can change, but I can't change the way I sound.
Well, you can. You just have to start talking like this, you know, or start smoking cigarettes. That'll fix you.
There we go.
Yeah, that's what you need.
He was going out. I'll get her to pick me up a pack of Demoria or something at the
Marlboros, man.
I was gonna say go all in, Marlboro Reds.
Tristan believes that there is a Game Boy Advance model on Thingiverse. I'm gonna have to pull apart the Y-axis on my Prusa too. There was a bearing that felt like ever so slightly rough when I put it together, and then it seemed to smooth out after it got lubricated. And now it's making a little bit of a sound, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna swap that out this week before it ends up damaging the rod. But when I was building it, the instructions was like, oh, if you lose 2 or 3 bearings as you put the rods in, that's okay. That happens. Just, more than that might be a problem. Like, I don't think I lost any bearings. I think that bearing or any ball bearings from that bearing, I think it's just
maybe they lost them in the factory before they sent it to you.
it happens.
The guy who made it dropped a couple and he's like, oh, it'll be okay. And then the guy who quality checked it lost one and he's like, oh, it'll be okay. And then the guy who put it in the bag lost a couple.
Every step along the way, somebody screwed up, but it was all within tolerances.
That's right. Okay, so I'm on step 14, and it says store or throw away all your old plastic parts. You won't need them. Which one do you think I'm going to do?
Store them.
Store them.
Because one day you're going to build another printer out of those parts, right?
Well, and it's not like you have a machine where you could make new ones if you wanted to.
Yeah, you need something that can actually melt and lay plastic in designated patterns to do that. Also, I'm gonna say I hate stealth mode on my Prusa. It seemed like such a good idea because like I run my 2208s in silent mode, so the printer's quiet. But for some reason, every time I run in silent mode, I come down and it's missed a step or two somewhere.
Yeah, I've never put mine in silent mode.
I've only done it to test it. Especially the Mark III.
Overall, I'm not super happy with the print quality, but that's me being more of a perfectionist because the prints look good from like, let's say 80% of angles. But I am super happy with the reliability. I have gotten it after putting a little time and effort into the point where it's literally just press the button and you know it's going to print. Like the prints I've done this week, I've clicked the button left and then I'll check the camera an hour later to make sure that it did stick to the bed, but
I don't know. I always tell people, the Prusa machines are good. They're reliable. They work. You don't have to mess with them so much. I tell people that, and I still think that is true. But when I got a Prusa printer, I came from a printer that was a complete pile of garbage. I just didn't know it.
Yeah.
You know, and now the comparison is so much different than it was when I got my first one. So I'm still of the mindset that, yeah, Prusa's awesome. It changed the way I 3D print forever, you know, but I don't think it's still the same kind of thing today.
One of the things for me was my first printer was the PrinterBot, the Simple Metal, and it had the Ubi's 13 hot end, so not even the S, but like the original ceramic. And I started printing it, and I was like, wow, it's amazing that it can print these, you know, things that look fairly accurate and stuff like that. And I'd print stuff off Thingiverse, and like, you know, the screw holes would be a little too small, and I'd drill them out, and I was like, still like, great printer, fantastic, does a great job. Then the nozzle clogged, and when I was taking it apart, I ended up damaging the hot end. And with the Ubi's hot end, the heat, there's no heat cartridge. The actual Nikkor wire is wrapped around on the inside, as well as the thermistor being embedded. It's all one piece. So you can't remove either of those components. They're just integrated into the hot end. And the thermistor broke, and there's no way for me to fix it. I was going to try and basically use Kapcon tape to tape another one to the outside of it. But ultimately, I decided to switch to a V6. And the difference going from the Ubi's hot end to the V6 hot end was ridiculous. Actually, sorry, it was a V5 at that point. And I thought it was just because I'd already put, hundreds of hours of print onto it. I'm like, well, the old one, the nozzle was more worn and stuff like that. And so then I bought another PrinterBot Simple Metal when they went out of business that had never been used. A guy bought it 3 years ago, and it's been sitting in a box, and he just never got around to actually setting it up. And the first print off of that, using the now the Ubi's S hot end, was as bad as the prints coming off my original one was at the end of its life. It's just the quality difference between the two of them. It was, when you don't know better, you think that what you've got's the best.
Yeah.
"3D Maker Kid says he put his Hemera together because just put my Hemera together because I can't wait. The instructions were amazing."
Excellent.
Chris, you've used the Hemera hot end, right?
Yes.
What do you think of it?
It's cool.
It's not supposed to be cool. It's supposed to get hot.
It does get hot, but it's still cool when it doesn't. I don't know. It prints really well. There's something about it a little bit that's a little off-putting because it's shaped like a Mark 8, an MK8 style. It's got the sandwichy feel of the old school hot end extruder combo housing.
Yep.
It's really well made. I mean, if you pull it apart, it looks like a watch inside. The gears fit just so. It's well made, and it's at an affordable price. If you were to go buy an extruder and a hot end, they don't ask too much money for it, I don't believe. But it prints really well. It's really easy to install. There's a lot of different mounting holes and stuff on it, so that's nice. There's a few just a little things that I would have done differently, but I'm not E3D, so I can't really say that. But I think it's worth the money. I think they're pretty nice.
So overall, it doesn't like a crazy boost your print quality and stuff like that. But if you're looking for something that fits in that form factor, it's a good solution.
Yeah, I mean, so let's just say you have a printer, you're getting good prints, and you're printing the materials you want to print. There's really no reason to buy one. But you want to do like flexible at crazy speed, Hemera would be the way to go. And if you're looking for that kind of feature to add to your printer, that would be a good way to do it.
Matt, Jake from State Farm is being a negative Nancy.
Tristan posted some cool looking shells for alternative shells for Game Boy Advance, and I think the first one is a Game Pi Advance, where it's a Game Boy Advance appearance that you put a Pi in, so it's pretty cool stuff. It's the snag too, is that so I'll tell people here first. I'm starting a challenge hopefully this week where I'm going to try and design 26 new Pi cases over the next 26 weeks. So basically from here until the end of the year. And I'm trying my best not to search or Google anything because, like Chris was saying before, where he doesn't watch a lot of other content because he doesn't want to accidentally rip somebody off. I'm just doing it for my own experience and to learn and then release the stuff. So if I end up making something that already exists, I don't really care. But yeah, so that's my challenge. So I've got a 3 case head start so far, and generating a list of additional ones. I'm gonna have all these pie cases, nothing to put in them.
Well, I've designed 3 pie cases a week for a whole year. Now I need pie donations.
People that have seen me know the last thing I need is people that have seen me know that the last thing I need is a pie donation. Maybe an insulin donation. Womp womp. Now that stuff's still cheap in Canada. Atari 2600 is on the list. I don't really want to go through the whole list of stuff that I've come up with so far, but because I want it to be surprises.
Yeah, no leaks, man.
But you will occasionally get an early view on one if you tune in on Sundays from between 4 and 6 to what is 3D printing.
Or if you become a Patreon.
Yes, Patreons get access to my stuff immediately. Everybody else has to wait. Gear 3D official says that my printer sounds are confusing him because he thinks that it's his printer, but it's running in the basement. He's on the 2nd floor. You know, when I had my CR Times running before I upgraded them, they were running the stock boards, and I was printing the parts for the full-size 3D printed arcade cabinet. I had them running ridiculously fast. I was throwing a bit of caution to the wind and accuracy a little bit to the wind because they were big prints with fairly large tolerances anyways. And I could hear them running on the 2nd floor, like where our bedroom is, even though they were in the basement. I can do that. Email me that too, Tristan. I'll add that to the list of ones to do. I'm gonna call it the Pinus. No, not even a little chuckle. I'll see myself out. Ricky Tanner is here from Tanner 3D.
Hey, Ricky. So I'm probably going to butcher this, but Sicaria Phase said, "Hi, me, Glenn." So hi. I don't know if that's what they were looking for, but.
Did you guys end up watching the trailer for the new Star Trek series that's coming out next month?
Is it the animated one?
Yes.
Yeah, I actually seen it before. I'm intrigued with it. Priscilla kind of snubbed her nose at it, but we'll see. It's
a Rick and Morty style show in the Star Trek universe, which I don't have a problem with. There's a bunch of the purists on Reddit that are like, "This isn't my Star Trek," and too bad they stopped making Star Trek at Enterprise. Like, I hate to tell you this, but I was new to the internet, but on the internet when Star Trek Enterprise was a thing, and when Enterprise came out, people were like, "This isn't my Star Trek. This is terrible." And I'm like, every Star Trek that's come across, there's videos and stuff from the 80s when they released the Next Generation, and people are like, "This isn't my Star Trek."
That whole term bugs me. That this isn't my. Well, maybe they didn't make it for you. Maybe they made it for somebody else.
There's a whole conspiracy thing that like the new Star Trek series are not successful, but CBS is like basically too far gone to back down from it. I'm like, that's not the way corporations work. They don't go, "Well, we're losing money with this, but we can't look stupid, so we got to keep going."
Oh no, they'll pull the plug on something immediately, if not sooner.
They will, like, if they want to save face, all they have to do is go, "Okay, so we always envision this in being a 3-season arc. So the next season's the final season, and it's going to wrap up, and it'll finish telling the story." Like, you can sandwich this in a, but there's a YouTube channel called Midnight's Edge, and every 2 or 3 days, I don't know if it's still like this, but for a while, every 2 or 3 days, they're releasing a video saying, "Oh, Star Trek's been canceled. The new Star Trek series is done. It's lost all sorts of money. People have been fired from CBS."
Well, as I understand it, the new one, the animated one, is about not about the main people, but about the other people.
Yes, it was. I guess there's an episode of Next Generation, I think, called Lower Decks, and it's inspired by that idea. That's the one where they followed the four like ensigns around that were all up for promotions, and they were showing like they're playing cards, and then like the main characters are also playing cards in different rooms and stuff like that. So it's four of the least important crew members on one of the least important ships in Star Trek. So they're on a ship that handles doing second contacts after first contact's been made. Now you need people to go in and like finalize trades and stuff like that. Which is one of the lines in the trailer. He goes, "Nothing like a cold beer after a smooth second contact."
It should be known that it's not my Star Trek. I haven't watched Star Trek since Captain Kirk.
Oh, well, there you go.
Well, it's definitely not my Star Trek.
Because you don't watch any Star Trek.
I don't watch Star Trek.
Well, I'm passionate about Star Trek, so you guys have to deal with it.
That's all right.
Nothing wrong with it.
All you see in chat is not my live stream. Everybody starts disconnecting. Rick, so they were going to do a fourth movie, but the fourth movie required Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth to come back, and they couldn't basically negotiate a salary because both of those people blew up in terms of their popularity.
Could afford to pay them.
Anton Yelchin passed away, and they're having a hard time figuring out how they were going to deal with the fact that the young kid that played Chekhov died. So they are doing a fourth movie, but it isn't really sure if it's going. And I think it's not rebooting anything, but it may be following a different crew. So we'll see what happens.
So the magnets for this upgrade kit come in an SD card container.
Mine came with that too. Here. Wait, no, that's not it. But it was a case just like this one, right?
Yeah.
That's the filament detection system in it, which is kind of ingenious. It's too bad they stole it from that guy that gets all the stuff stolen by Prusa.
Tinfoil guy, yeah.
That's okay. Prusa came out with that filament detection system, and then I promptly ripped it off for my own design. So
Oh, boy. I agree with Ricky. Anton Yelchin was a great actor. He was killed by a runaway Jeep, and I think the family sued Jeep after that.
Wow.
He had one of those the vehicles where there was no longer like a shifting position for the knob. It was just a thing you turn, and the computer controls what it's in.
Right.
And he turned it to what he thought was park, and got out of the car to check his mail, and the car rolled back and pinned him into the against the gate outside his house. And I believe this is what I read. This isn't me saying for sure this is what happened, so we don't get sued. I believe there was a lawsuit launched because the car did not adequately warn people if somebody was getting out of the vehicle while it was not in park.
Huh.
But that's one of those technological advances I don't really get. Why does your shifter need to be digital? You know what I mean? Like maybe it saves a little space, but I don't see that as being an advancement that we needed.
It's all about wow factor.
It's like the somebody released a video.
So hard to do this or this.
Yeah, it's just easier to do this.
Yeah.
There's a video somebody released a few years ago, and it was on all the innovations that Apple adds, and it was for this new Apple MacBook Pro, and they replaced the keyboard with just one giant jog wheel. So you rotate it to the letter that you want and then push down on it. And he's like, yeah, with just 23 clicks and a press, I can get to the X.
Well, you know,
kids says his car doesn't have a shifter.
Kids today will never know the pain of having a rotary dial telephone.
I feel like Steven's going to tell me that he's got a Tesla. Or he doesn't have a car.
Yeah. My car don't have a shifter or a motor or a transmission or a parking brake. I have cars like that.
I had a truck one time that didn't have a starter for like a year.
Oh, I drove an 81 Isuzu mini truck that was all like customized and lowered down and stuff, and the starter had gone bad in it, and I just always parked on an incline.
Absolutely. I just find a hill.
Just get it rolling and I mean, the thing was light enough that I could start it myself, but
Yeah, mine was a '93 Toyota mini truck.
Nice.
I mean, technically your car has 4 motors. They're just electric. Well, I don't know which model you have, so I'm making an assumption on how many motors your vehicle has. But and Steve Butler also points out, or Sean Butler also points out that most vehicles have had electronic transmissions for a long time, and the shifter was just a, sending a signal across. But my point being, having a state, which the knob is, and I don't know why they switched to the turning system where you have to watch the digital display to see what you did. And
Right. You're not really paying attention. You're really turning the volume knob instead.
yep. Whoopsie poopsie. or you conversely, you're driving down the highway and you're like, oh, I love this song. I need to turn it up. And then you accidentally shift into park. I'm sure there's a system that prevents that from happening. That was just a joke. I don't want to see any emails about it. Don't at me.
Correct setup. Magnets are repelling each other. Thus, the lever is pushed to the right. Incorrect setting. Magnets are attracted to each other. Thus, the lever is pulled to the left. Well, doesn't that also depend on which way you're holding this?
I've been impressed with all the videos that I've seen of it. I do not think I would comfortably fit into a Tesla at my current level of importance, as they say. Yeah, send hate mail to Glenn at funking3d.com.
Oh, what am I getting hate mail for? I didn't say anything about the dang maple leaf.
Anything that's said here is directly into your scrutiny because it's on your channel.
Well, that's fine. At least, with hate mail, I'm getting some mail.
Zolan says it does prevent it. I tried the shifting into park while you're driving.
There was a girl in my high school that she would slam her car into park before she fully came to a stop every day. Like every morning, you'd hear this clack, clack, clack. Like, oh, she's here. And then about halfway through the year, she was at the auto shop, the auto mechanics class shop, asking us to replace her transmission.
There's a kid I went to high school with that during college, he had some beat up old, I think it was a Camry or whatever, but it was standard. And he was driving at 80 or 90 kilometers an hour. I think somewhere around 60 miles an hour. And he went to shift out of shift into say the neutral position or whatever, like the in-between phase or whatever, and accidentally slammed it into reverse. And he put so much torque into the transmission, it actually ripped off the body of the car and ended up on the ground.
Wow.
Car was it was an old car to begin with, but it was totaled. This is before cell phones were super prevalent. We all had Nokia phones.
That's one of my pet peeves, is to see somebody doing something to a car like that, and then because I know what the inside of that looks like.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what that? There's probably a plastic parking gear in that transmission. This is like the worst idea ever.
See, that's so Sean's car has a dial shifter, and if there's no weight in the front seat, it automatically shifts into park. That's a fantastic idea. And if they had added that before Anton Yelchin's death, he would still be here today.
Whoever tightened this belt did a really...
Okay, but what if you're driving down the road and you go over railroad tracks and you come out of your seat for a second? Does it slam into park before you land?
You bounce once, it shifts into park, and then you hit the windshield. Oh, Mike says just print a new parking gear on an ANET. That's a fire answer. Look at it go. Look at it printing stuff on the bed, that it's printing things and it's playing things. And what an age to be alive.
All right, so what is the purpose of this piece with the ball in it? I haven't got it together enough to know yet, but...
So the filament runs against the ball as it goes through and creates the pressure that's and then the filament spreads apart the magnets, and then when there isn't filament in it, the magnets snap it back together and it triggers the infrared or the Yeah, it's is it laser infrared sensor, right, Chris?
Yes, infrared.
So it's just the ball is really nothing more than a roller, like a
Yes.
done with a bearing, except for it seems to take up less space.
I don't know that that's officially accurate, but that was my observation when I put it together, that that's probably what its intent is. It's just a bearing that the filament runs against.
It's just to give you a smooth surface to guide it.
I am pretty impressed overall with the way the printer is designed, the way everything's sort of laid out and set up. And it was, I ran into one snag while putting it together where one screw, I assembled something incorrectly. And when I went to back it out, the screw actually like bound up in the nut, and I ended up having to break the bolt to get it apart again. So I blamed Chris. He wasn't there to help me at that point.
It's true, I wasn't.
He was probably in his basement somewhere.
I do see now. I didn't realize that the filament goes down through. That there's a hole in the top of that for the filament.
There is.
Yes, I didn't see it before though.
Well, now you do.
Now I
Really,
do.
it's half the battle.
Now I'm going to poke some filament down in there and make sure that it's clear. Oh yeah, okay. Wow, that's not much movement. Guess it doesn't have to be, huh? I guess it's only 1.75 millimeters worth of movement.
That's true.
Yep.
But yeah, that magnet instead of a spring, that's quite ingenious.
Mike Never Let the Machines Win was there while I was building my Prusa. He got to watch me not quite flip out to the point of throwing things, but get quite upset and then end the stream prematurely.
I watched
back 45 minutes later.
I was there.
I didn't swear. I didn't get like stupid upset, but I was like, I need to walk away now before I do, because I'm going to end up breaking something trying to fix this without thinking it through.
Yeah.
But I do believe it was Mike's idea originally to snap off the bolt. So credit to him, I guess.
I'm printing one of the default files on this SD card. I'm not sure that I've ever done this before.
No, not a default file.
Yeah. I'm
Two
guessing
best
it
words
was-
in the English language. Default. If only more people watched The Simpsons, people would get that reference.
Bob Karn said, make sure the magnets are set to repel each other. Absolutely. I read that big blazing note. Unlike a lot of people, I actually read instructions.
So I found this while I was cleaning up, and I bought it, and I have no idea what I was going to use it for. It's some sort of LED display that does things, and I don't remember why I bought it.
Is it just a panel?
And like there's a
like
control system in the back, and
Yeah. No, there's no control system. You have to drive it with something.
Do you?
Yep.
Like an Arduino?
Yeah. I have, I don't know, 8 or 10 of those for a Christmas display thing that I'm building. But I drive it off of a Pi with a hat that I got from Adafruit.
I don't remember why I bought it. I think I saw somebody else did something with it, and I was like, I can do something with that.
Yeah, and I can't remember her last name. Melissa on Twitter's just wrote a whole library to do like scrolling text and stuff, and it turned out way better than what I was doing. So,
you know what I bought this for? You just reminded me. I bought this because I was going to try and make a super fancy house number system for the outside of our house.
Well, that's overkill.
Everything I do is overkill. Except for Keelan's now ordered a super fancy one by a local artist. So I guess I'll just use that to scroll hate-filled messages on my windows.
Guess you'd be doing something else with it. Yeah, I always wanted to put one like in the back window of my car so I could like send a quick message like, stop tailgating me, or which almost never happens. Usually I'm the guy tailgating, but
Just an LED matrix display of a middle finger bouncing back and forth when somebody really upsets you.
I wouldn't do that. I'm family friendly.
Well, the channel is. Doesn't mean you have to be all the time. Chris Lane said, what led you to buy it? But LED led. So that's all the dad jokes, none of the dads. That's me, IRL.
So, Glenn, I think you're referring to Maker Melissa.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. If you haven't seen some of her YouTube content, she does some really cool projects. If you're looking for somebody else to watch.
Yeah, I didn't even know who she was, and then somebody else had like retweeted or commented or something, and then so it was one of those moments like, how do I not know who this person is? You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I didn't know her until she reached out one day. She was, I want to say it was like she was building a lack enclosure or something, and one of the parts wasn't quite right. Something. And then I found out she was building them live on YouTube. I'm like, well, that's cool.
I don't know if I'm subscribed to her. I guess I should go check. I try to support everybody except for that one guy. You know who?
yeah, that one guy. Whew.
Yep.
He's probably here in the chat. So
Wow, Glenn, you and I are super popular today. We've got almost double the number of viewers as last week. I don't know why.
I think it's because I promoted the show more this week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It can't possibly be Chris because you never told anybody he was going to be in it.
I'm just here standing around. I'm not actually participating at all. I'm just
Chris's fans don't do anything but sit around waiting for Chris to stream. So you can tell them at the last minute, and they're like, "Yep, I'm on it."
Is her YouTube channel Maker Melissa's Lab?
Yes, I believe that is her.
Okay, you get to subscribe, and I'll even click the bell.
Ring the bell for notifications.
I never look at the notifications anyway, so it just makes people feel better. I think there's a statistic now that tells you how many people have clicked the bell for your channel.
Oh, really? I don't ever click the bell. It annoys me. If I click the bell on your channel, you're somebody special.
Did you click the bell on my channel?
I did.
And Chris's?
And Chris's.
Hold on a second. I gotta click the bells on both your channels now.
Yeah.
Tristan,
I mean, it doesn't
I-
really matter whether or not you click the bell. YouTube will unclick it for you anyway without telling you.
I've had multiple occasions where friends I have will message me and be like, "Hey, when's the last time you put out a video?" And like usually within like 2 or 3 weeks, and they go check. And like, I'm not subscribed to you anymore, and I have no idea why.
Yep.
Oh, it's because YouTube thinks that I suck.
It dumps the channels that I'm subscribed to. It dumps those every couple of months for some reason.
Yeah.
I'll click on the subscribe and I'll actually say to myself, what a bunch of losers. They're not putting out any videos, because of all the people. I said, come on, somebody make some content so I have something to watch. And then I realized
That's really harsh, Chris.
What a bunch of losers.
I need to be entertained. But then I realized, yes, it's dumped all of my channel subscriptions. So then I was just being a jerk for no reason.
I wouldn't fly up here in Canada. You'd have to say sorry.
Sorry. I was talking about accents the other day, and well, actually, it's the whole thing started from most people don't watch regular TV anymore. They watch streaming services, so you don't ever watch commercials. But I still watch regular TV on occasion. And there's a Sam Adams commercial out right now about your cousin from Boston. And he's got the really thick accent. And I work with a ton of people from Boston, and that's spot on.
Well, did you see the Hyundai commercial?
With Chris Evans?
Well, with all the people from Boston, yeah, the smart park.
Yeah.
It's got smart park.
Yeah, use the clicker. Yeah. No, but that sparked a conversation. We started talking about people from Wisconsin. I'm like, why do people from Wisconsin have a worse accent than people from Canada? Wouldn't it make sense, like, the further north you go, the worse that it would get? But
Wait, what's wrong with my accent?
There's nothing wrong with your accent. I actually really like
Wisconsin's.
Yeah, I like the Wisconsin accent. I love how those people talk. And Minnesotans, I think it's great.
That's where I'm from.
Yeah, well, it seems like the Canadians there should be more inflection on it.
Yeah, people from Minnesota overpronounce the O's. They drive down the road and kick a toad and they put their garbage in a bag.
Are they also ones that say stuff like, "Who has the time?"
Yeah, you betcha.
Oh yeah, for sure, there, eh?
It's always fun to talk to my family.
Well, a lot of the guys from Wisconsin that I know too, they have a lot of different words that we don't use. Like Davenport.
Yeah. My
And
grandmother
Chesterfield?
always called it a Davenport.
Yeah.
Did they
Yeah.
say Chesterfield
Yep.
and Ottoman?
Yep. Ottoman. Yep.
There used to be a whole empire made of Ottomans. I find that the design I like the most is always the most recent one that I've completed. Everything I finish, I'm like, I love you like a child, and then I come up with a better concept, and I'm like, shun.
I don't love you anymore.
You're dead to me.
Actually, I think I'm always. I don't know if I showed you guys the finalized version of it because I modified it for a Pi 4, the IBM PS2. I hate the color balance on this. Plus, it's a super lightweight. I can fix this. I can make it better. Where are you?
I actually had one of those computers in my cube for years, and I finally threw it away.
Oh, I would have bought it off you.
No, it wasn't mine, but I still would have sold it to you.
I can't get the. What if I don't know. Now I just look like an evil villain in the back. Brightness all the way down. Turn off white balance. It's not going to come across, but yeah. Anyways, it turned out really nice. And it's got enough empty space on the side that you can put like an accessory in with it if you were so inclined.
This thing has like 20 millimeters of retraction, I swear.
Oh my gosh.
It turns like a full turn.
Between.
Oh, it's at least a third of a rotation to back the filament up. Probably closer to a half. I don't know what the setting is because it's this default G code, but it's massive. It's pretty funny.
Michael Cassell said, I think a lot of Minnesotians are of Swiss ancestry. Swiss speaks a very bubbly, high-pitched German accent. Actually, a lot of them are Norwegian and Swedish. That's my heritage. I'm Swedish. My poor kids are half Swedish and half Cuban. They stand no chance.
Matter Hackers Pro PETG. Do either of you have thoughts on that? Or first, let me ask: are either of you sponsored by Matter Hackers before I give my opinion?
I was sponsored for a product. The very first 3D printed arcade cabinet I did was built out of Matter Hackers Pro PLA, but not recently.
No, I mean, Matter Hacker sponsored some of my giveaways years ago, but I don't know. When I started conversing with Printed Solid, the relationship kind of got cold.
Yeah.
So no, you won't be hurting the channel if you were to offer an opinion that's less than stellar. If that's
No, and honestly, it would never, like, I don't care if you have an opinion and you voice an opinion against somebody who is a sponsor. I mean, if there's something wrong with their products, everybody needs to know. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, I've had several rolls of both Build Series and Pro and a couple of different materials, and I've had a lot of issues with Pro, and it's like $40 a spool. So, just my personal experience, I've had a lot better luck with Build if you're going to buy from Matter Hackers.
Yeah, and if you're looking for a Pro PLA, 3D Fuel. 3D Fuel makes a great Pro PLA.
I will
They make really good.
I just
film.
happen to have some right here.
also say I've been printing with the. I'm drawing a blank now. This is how well we're here. So I swear, Sun is it Sunlu Pro PLA? Sun something Pro PLA. Second,
eSun?
let me double check to make sure I get this right.
Yeah, because isn't Sunlu the one that's trying to?
No, it's eSun.
It's eSun.
Yeah.
I think it's Sunlu that's trying to get everybody on Twitter to review their product.
Yeah.
No.
They'll give you a free roll. After you review it, they'll pay you back.
But only if it's favorable.
Right.
So I'm using the eSun Pro PLA, and it's printed like a dream, to be honest. This is printed in the eSun Pro PLA. This aqua blue greeny, and it printed really nice. I printed that on the CR10.
A lot of the Matter Hacker stuff comes from KVP, and I have never had good luck with their products. Anything that comes out of that. So, and it might maybe I just had a bad run, but I've never.
It comes from where? Keene Village Plastics?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where all of the stuff from the Rhino reel was coming from as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know, their standard PLA printed fine. Like, I mean, it was nothing like super. I didn't drop every other brand that I was using and run to that, but
yeah.
Doug, you do need to try 3D Fuel, and if you order some from 3dfuel.com, at least try to use the coupon code of FunKing3D. I don't even know if it still works. You know, I probably should have taken some time this week to read these instructions before I did this so that I was familiar with what was going on, but.
I mean, I'm just impressed you're reading the instructions at all.
Well, it has such nice pictures.
This one looks like a little hat.
You're just surprised I can read.
Yes. I bought a bunch of filament at Printed Solid on the way back. We dumped another like $200 and some in stuff. After we said, like, okay, we're done spending for this trip. And now they have filament that's designed to match stuff like the old Commodore 64, and they don't ship to Canada.
Oh.
Yeah. Glenn, are you gone or are you just reading intently?
Oh, I was reading intently.
I was looking for the pulse in your neck, couldn't even see it.
Printed Solid started carrying Filamentum, so my life got a lot more expensive.
Filamentum. Wait, is it Filamentum? Before I say that it is, give me 2 seconds. Filamentum sells the 750 gram rolls, right?
Yeah.
So the Dreamcast case and the IBM case, they're both printed in Filamentum's electric gray PLA, and it is very close to the original color of a lot of this stuff. But Matter Hackers now has one in the Jesse line, I believe, that is an exact match.
Wait. You said Matter Hackers has one in the Jesse line.
Nope, Printed Solid. Sorry. Printed Solid now has one in the Jesse line, which is apparently a dead-on match. So, Glenn, I might need to give you money to order me a roll and then ship it to me from Florida. Because Printed Solid is like less than a 5-hour drive from here, but I can't get across the border right now and probably wouldn't risk it.
Yeah.
Hey, James, honestly, though, if I order stuff from him like once a week, so if you need one, just tell me. I will order it and I will get it to you.
Well, I was going to say, and then Uncle Ron is right there. So Uncle Ron could get it and then drive to one side of the border and you drive to the other side of the border and you can just throw it over the wall that doesn't exist.
I'm sure that the border agents will have no issue with somebody throwing several 1 kilogram packages over the.
It'll be fine.
I said it's addictive like crack. I didn't say it is crack.
Yeah,
It's just Dave cringed at that.
Yeah. All the cheaper PLA filament though for months now has been Jesse PLA. It's easy to get. It's cheap. You can get pretty much any color now. I think he's got like 400 colors or something. So,
I think it's 40, but yeah.
yeah, somewhere the south side. I think I said 600% humidity this afternoon. So,
well, it is here in Florida. Yeah. So it, the Facebook groups drive me crazy anyway, but I can't tell you how many times I scroll through and see, oh, it's getting hard to get filament on Amazon. Where should I buy filament in the US? And I just want to reach through the computer and stop buying your filament from Amazon.
I end up buying a lot of my filament from Amazon because we don't really have access to a ton of things in Canada.
Well, yeah, you're in Canada. It's different.
I will go to, there's oh my God, I'm drawing blanks on everything now. Filaments.ca, spool.ca, which is SPOOL3D. So Spool 3D, is that what we're calling them now?
It would be spooled.
It's like Slick 3R.
James, are you in contact or do you have contacts at filament.ca?
No, I've tried to sort of reach out and get some sort of communication going, but I don't think they care about me.
I could totally make that happen because that Ron is his name, but I think it's kind of a one-man show actually, but he's a pretty nice dude. I could probably put that connection together if you'd like.
Okay, I'm gonna need Glenn to edit out the part where I just said they don't care about me first, though. This live stream is getting unlisted.
Yeah, but maybe now they'll start caring about you.
There you go.
I think I had originally tried to reach out when I was doing the charity live stream a year or two ago, and I wasn't getting any. I don't think I got any messages back or anything from them. That was fine. I wasn't I didn't reach out saying, "Can you please give me this" or whatever. I just was, here's what I'm doing in case you guys want to be involved. But if it's just a one-man show, it's possible it just got lost in the shuffle. And
not only that, but you got to think about how small this industry really is.
Yep.
And how much they're inundated with people looking for stuff.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is, when I reach out to people, I'm never I'm looking specifically for something for free. But I will reach out and say, I'm going to be working on this project, and if you want to be involved and have credit on it, then by all means. And I've definitely emailed people and been I'm going to buy this product regardless. So you can say no, and I will just buy it and I will use it. But if you guys want credit in the project, then I wanted to give you guys the opportunity beforehand. And I've had lots of people say no, we can't really afford to put anything towards that, and I still turn around and buy the product because it's not their fault. But there's certainly people that are in the community that have made it larger than I am. They've said, never do anything never give free advertisement to anybody unless you have to. So that's. I'm
a sellout, so I have to agree with that. But sometimes when you use a product and you really like it, I don't have any problem promoting it. Mainly because I want that company to make it and stay around so I can continue to use their product.
Absolutely. So, what's interesting? I had this roll of black PETG, and I forget what brand it is. Somebody identified it by looking at it because it had a specific imprint pattern on it, but based on the way it's produced. And I had been printing PETG on all of my CR10s. They were all running it fine. I tried to print this roll of black PETG, wouldn't print worth a damn. And so worth a darn. That's the second week in a row I've done that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to ban you.
Oh, okay. Well, it's been a good run. Chris, you can have my spot now. This was supposed to be a one-time thing, but now you're stuck. Anyways, threw that on the Prusa, and it immediately printed absolutely perfect. There's no stringing. Everything's nice and clean. I was like, well, I guess I guess the cruise was worth it. I spent $1,200 to be able to print a $30 roll of PETG. $1,200 Canadian.
I get spools of filament from a lot of startup companies. Like this stuff is from a company in Brazil, and they never actually made it. This was their alpha beta, stuff that they never actually got to sell, and it's kind of not good. But that is the best thing about having Prusa machines, in my opinion. You throw filament at it, it eats it, no problem, no complaining. It doesn't matter if it's 250 micron oversized, undersized. It just uses it. And by far, I think that's worth the money because I have a lot of oddball filament setting around.
I ended up doing a lot of work with IC3D and their filament because I was friends with Sean and he was there. And it started off like, I think the very first event I went to, which was Murph 2018, they were like, hey, if you're going to get involved in anything or planning any projects later on, let us know. And then ERF came around. And I said, oh, well, here's 3 projects I'm planning on for ERF. And they're like, okay, we want to sponsor all 3 of them. So then I had to do all 3 of them. I'm like, I'm going to do this or this or this. And they're like, how about you do all of them? And I'm like, that's a lot of pressure on me. I almost had a nervous breakdown in that Airbnb. Things were going wrong that should not have been going wrong.
Yep. Well, that Airbnb about gave me a nervous breakdown anyway.
I think I told you that the first day we were there, I walked into the bathroom and there was a needle sitting on the ground.
Yeah, hypodermic needle.
So I picked it up and tucked it away somewhere so that one of the kids wouldn't actually step on it. But I was like, that would have been a bad day for me. Oh, Kayleen's smashing something upstairs.
James, I believe that was the first time I had the conversation with you about why you're doing this to yourself at that ERF event.
Yeah,
you were way too busy, man.
I was completely burnt out. I honestly think that my YouTube channel actually suffered from me doing that, if we're being completely honest. By the end of the event, I had no desire to do anything, and it was like a good long while before the desire came back. And even then, I was at that point where I was doing 1 to 2 videos a week, and then I went probably 3 months without releasing anything, and now it's like, maybe a video every month or 2.
Yeah,
that was the ERF that trampled me too. I don't know what it was about that particular ERF, but afterwards I was so mentally drained.
And then I came back from ERF 2019 and 3D printed a full-size arcade cabinet because I'm dumb like that.
You didn't have anything else going on.
What?
You didn't have anything else going on.
I had a lot of fun with that project, but it took me 6 months after that to get the video out on it. And you think I would have just been like, get the video done straight while the popularity's there? I also got kind of knocked down on it a little bit because I thought it was going to be super popular, and it was for people playing it and stuff like that. But Joel released videos on all the things that he covered that thing, and my video underperformed by like 20%. And I was like, well, maybe there just isn't there aren't as many people that think this is as cool. Maybe this is just me thinking it's cool.
Well, I can make you feel better because nobody filmed my FK1 at all. So at least you got interviews.
I think there's clips of the FK1 in one of my videos.
Well, there is. There's also clips of it in people interviewing Josh with his big alien, and and I don't know. I think some of it might have just been because I was busy all day. Like there wasn't 5 seconds of breathe time through the whole thing, but I was a little disappointed that nobody came and said, hey, we want to interview you. And I'm like, it's just a big dumb printer. That prints a pretty darn nice Benji.
But not 1001 yet.
No, not yet.
Did you order a power backup yet?
No.
Did you also take into account that whatever power backup you put onto it is going to go dead in like 30 seconds running that bed?
No, I'm going to put a 1500 on it. I don't generally lose power here. I just get like brownouts and like momentary dips.
You want to filter out the hiccups.
So yeah, and then I have actually considered wiring the bed AC separate from the printer AC so that I don't necessarily have to run the bed on the backup. I mean, when the print's cool, I just about have to beat them off with a hammer anyway. So
The other thing you could always do is put something over. Well, no, you need all the. I was gonna say you need all the Z height. I was gonna say you could put something else out over the bed and then use masking tape, so it doesn't need the heated bed to make it work. But
yeah, I could put a layer of masking tape down.
I guess that wouldn't end up damaging the PEI sheet.
No, I do it once in a while. If I can't get a certain filament to stick, I'll throw some blue tape on there.
I don't think that's a horrible idea. If you were to print it onto masking tape so that you don't have to have the bed running for an entire week.
Yeah, that might be a good plan because it gets mighty warm up here when that thing is on. It's actually been sitting running, it's not warmed up, but it's been sitting and running for like 2 weeks now. I don't even turn it off.
3D printing llama says blue tape. LOL. Also, a bunch of people said nice and encouraging things about the RPO, and I appreciate that. I personally love the project the way it turned out. And it still gets used. It's in our living room, which was a big deal. Killian was like, I don't want you to move it downstairs. I want you to leave it up here where people can see it. But like ultimately, I kind of walked away from it going, maybe it just wasn't as cool a project for the entire group out there as I thought it was. Maybe it was more something for me, which is fine too. A lot of the stuff I design ends up being just for me anyways.
Right. Well, and that's the way it should be.
And Chris and Glenn, because I spam them with pictures of things that I'm working on.
Yeah, and then I have to go, great. Well, I guess I'm not doing that project.
And I spam Chris with technical questions about things that I'm thinking about doing, and then I don't follow through with any of it.
I like it when James comes to, I've got this project idea. Do you have any idea what this device draws power-wise? And then I walk down here and measure it, and I'm like, yeah, about this. And then I never see this cool project.
It's too much current.
Okay, so that was a specific thing, and I can't remember what the project was now. There was something where specifically...
It was some sort of watch. That's all I really remember. There was a screen on the watch.
Yes, so that was after after you built the little device that was the Octoprint monitor using one of those OLED displays and stuff like that.
Yep.
And I got to the point where I was trying to prototype it, and the problem was it was killing the battery with like an hour or two, which is useless. Yeah. Right? I needed it to be able to run for a day or two off of a charge, and it was just not going to happen. So, but that was part of the problem. I'm trying to use a 360 milliamp battery pack to power an OLED display, which I got around that. I killed the OLED power by having a button that you push to actually power up and power down the display. But moreover, the fact that it was running a Wi-Fi module on an Arduino.
Yeah.
And I tried to play with stuff like make it connect each time, but those things aren't super reliable to begin with. So if you're hoping every time you push the button, it's going to be able to connect to the Wi-Fi and grab the information in a meaningful amount of time, not so much.
Yeah.
But yes, unfortunately, I was at a time I was certainly making Chris do more of my work than I probably should.
Hey, so I did end up getting that project I was working on last week. I got it working. Turned out there was something wrong in the code. So I used different code. Like the project that I took it from, that code was funky. But one of those boards was dead, so I have to send it back to Amazon. So I was dealing with a completely dead board and then bad software.
I also want to add, Chris, that when I ask you about something, it's do you know off the top of your head, not can you go check this for me?
Oh, no. If I get a question, I have to answer it.
Yeah, Chris isn't the kind of guy that's just going to be like, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, no, I can't do that. Well, because if you ask a question and I don't know the answer, now I want to know the answer.
Just add it to the knowledge bank in your head, right?
Yeah. And, I add a certain percentage of stuff. A certain percentage of stuff falls out. I have to relearn it later. There are a couple. That's funny now that I'm thinking about it, though. But there are a couple of projects that I've done over the years now that people still ask me about, and I have zero clue how I did it, what happened during it. I would have to go watch the video to even remember that I did it. It's just, it's weird the things I tend to remember and things that I just completely space.
Well, there is going to be a video this week because I have material now done for at least 3 videos. They're going to be shorter videos, but I'm hoping something gives me a little bit of momentum. And I was supposed to do the video for that Stream Deck, but I guess there's no point anymore because somebody already did it better.
Well, I'd still do it. I mean, I wouldn't waste the time that you spent on it.
But no, so I'm not gonna. But no, it's not even spoiling anything. It doesn't matter. So Glenn,
You already showed it on here.
yes, but I had started working on phase 2 for it. So I built a Stream Deck. I don't know if you saw it, Chris. Did you?
No.
Okay, I think it's. So here's the breadboarded prototype for it. Okay, so it's got an OLED display on it that tells you what the buttons do, so you can push them, and it's got either a mode where it switches automatic, like right away, or you can set it so that when you push a button, it gives you a readout first, and then you press it a second time to verify. It's got an SD card reader on it, so you can store infinite amount of configurations, and it'll cycle through them at the press of a button. And then it's got 8 programmable buttons plus the button for cycling through the modes. So then I went, I'm going to take this a step further, and I ordered 10 65,000 color OLED displays that are all connectable on the same bus, and then you just have a like an item selector. I think it's cable select, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I was like, I'm going to make it so it loads images off here, can display them, and then I'll build an interface where you can basically push on the display and it pushes a button underneath it, so it'll work more or less the way an actual Stream Deck works, except for you'll be able to build one for $20. So the other day, Glenn sends me a link to a video on this Stream Deck that's being featured on Arduino, and I responded to him by sending him a screenshot to me ordering those screens 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's well, now I forget what it's called, but all the code and stuff is
Open
available.
Deck, I think.
What is it?
Open Deck or Open Stream?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, something like that. But
I'm still going to release the video. I'll probably acknowledge its existence and say I started this project, beforehand, but.
I mean, the guy, what it was, the video that I sent to you, the link that I sent to you, James, was actually a guy who built that project, which was done by somebody else.
Yep.
And he actually made the board, he designed the board and had the boards made so that everything just solders in. It's pretty slick. I mean, I guess credit where credit's due. I mean,
Free Deck. And hello, Paul.
Why is everybody retracting their messages? Are they saying naughty things?
They were asking me questions that I can't answer, and then they actually asked the same question twice, 2 different people.
Oh.
Now 3D Maker Kid's asking you about how many G's a printer pulls.
How many G's the printer pulls?
Every idea. So the only original idea I've ever come up with, which isn't all that original because there's other people who have done stuff, is the rotating display 3D printed arcade cabinet. But there are 3D printed arcade cabinets and cabinets with rotating displays. So I just took 2 other ideas from other people and put them together.
Well, there's a few projects that I've thought in that same line. I was like, oh well, nobody's ever done this. There's no way that there's a YouTube video on this. And yeah, there was, and it was it's 5 years earlier than when I did it. No, it wasn't. I don't think it was near as cool, as when I did it. But who knows?
I think my favorite idea that I came up with that ended up becoming mainstream, and I just never said anything, was when they first started talking about dissolvable materials for supports. I came up with an idea, and I was talking to, trying to think, one of the guys at Merv 2008. I'd come up with the idea of having an interface layer that was dissolvable versus having all of the material built in, because it was so much more expensive to buy the dissolving stuff. And then 6 months later, all the slicers started incorporating. I'm like, that could have been my $1 million idea that nobody's getting money for.
Well, that is about the one thing about the 3D printing community is half or better of what's out there was given away for free. There's so many people that could have been millionaires and they're not.
I did come up with an idea last night that I'm not going to share with anybody until I know whether it works or doesn't, but I think I'll be the first person to do it. And if it does, it's going to be a game changer.
Looking forward to it, whatever it is.
Looking forward to Glenn doing it first.
It'll probably be Chris. Chris has probably already done it, and he's already got a video scheduled to come out on it.
Well, that happened with Octofarm, and I was talking to you before in it, and I was like, when I release my video on this, can you please let people know that you and I were discussing this long before you actually released your video? And Chris is like, I'll have your back.
Yeah.
But then ultimately, you did such a good job on it that I was like, I don't feel like I need to put the time into doing the video. Like, as long as there's a resource out there on how to do this, then, go for it. Carpe diem.
Well, I will tell you the same thing that my wife has been continuously telling me. You do it anyway because your way of doing it or your way of teaching it may be different than somebody else.
I have come to learn, though, that there's nobody better at teaching people things than Chris Riley.
That's true. But...
Well, you got to think of it too from my standpoint, or from I guess any YouTuber standpoint. You're building a catalog. That's kind of what you need to do on YouTube anyway. So more videos the better, even if nobody watches them. I still got videos that only have 100 views, but that's not the point. But also, if you were to release an Octofarm video, there is a higher chance that I won't get a question about Octofarm because there'll be another resource out there and they'll ask you a question.
Then I'll relay the question to you. Chris is
So
more
you're helping out old Chris Riley here.
Oh, he's right. That print is not sticking. Damn you, Build Tack.
Not a sponsor.
Never will be now. Thanks, Tim.
Paul, yes, the FK1 is absolutely printing. Though it hasn't printed in like 2 weeks now. I've kind of shifted a lot of my time. I have to get my garage clean so that I can actually start working on my truck. And I told the wife today that I'm going to call tomorrow and get a price on a dumpster and bring a dumpster in because I think that's going to be the fastest way to clean the garage. I just, I go out there, I think about it at night and I think, all right, this is the plan. This is what I'm going to do. And I should take a picture and let you guys see what the inside of that garage looks like because it would make most of you cry. CJ Beck, these pair make me see correctly and these pair make me see close up. Plus it really screws with people when I do this. So I come up with a plan, like, all right, I'm going to go and I'm going to tackle this area. I'm going to get all this. And then I go out there and it's so overwhelming that plus it's been so freaking hot. With our heat index, it's been like, where they give you the feels like temperature. It feels like you're walking on the sun. It's been like 105. apparently CJ's new around here. I do this all the time actually. Used to be a bingo square.
I have missed the 2 pairs of glasses.
That is a tiny little screw that holds that sensor in.
So I figure what we'll do is once this COVID thing's over, we'll fly Chris to my place, and then we'll do an entire series of videos called Chris Fixes James's Printers.
That sounds like a great series.
I've had that invite more than once, actually.
Specifically for me.
Yeah. 117? Good Lord. I want to step over here for a second. I'll be right back.
And we never saw him again.
And I'm never coming back.
I'll never print again.
When Chris was first in the green room today, he had said to me, he goes, excuse me, why I be rude? I have to have a snack. And I'm like, I don't care if you have a snack while we're streaming.
I ate an ice cream sandwich before we came down here.
Fun in the Canadian basement.
There's nothing but fun in the Canadian basement. I gotta keep spinning the feet on this around so that I'm not sitting on the part that's broken.
All right. The PCB should not be able to move, but be careful because it is not indestructible.
Let's say all sorts of mean things about Chris now that he's not here. His ponytail is not as long as the ponytails on other YouTubers. He doesn't have the ability to be multiple people, and therefore will never answer all the questions that are thrown at him.
He definitely cannot be multiple people.
Oh, he's back. Stop saying mean things about him. I don't think he heard any of them. It's fine. You know who we need as a sponsor is Coke.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm drinking Diet Sunkiss today, but I think that might be a Coke product.
Just read the can. Tilt it sideways.
Oh, no, Dr. Pepper 7-Up. I don't know who owns them anymore.
I saw this video of a little girl, and she's got a bottle or a glass of apple juice or something like that, and she's on a carpeted floor, and she's not paying attention. She tilts it, and it pours a little bit on the floor. And the mother's like, Aisha! And she looks at the mother, looks at the thing, and then just dumps the rest of the glass onto the carpet. And then the video ends, and we all know why.
Nice, James. We already know that Glenn can't read. That's right. I never learned to read.
Fun Reads 3D. So Canada used to have these videos they played called Part of Our Heritage. And it was these recreations of famous events in Canadian history. So like one of them was the invention of basketball, where like they've got these guys and they're playing, and it was originally like 3v3, and they've got these peach baskets that they've hung so they can throw the ball into it. And then each time somebody puts one into the peach basket, you have to climb up, take the ball out, and then get it back down. And then somebody's like, can we cut the bottoms out of the peach baskets? And the guy that owns them is like, but I need these peach baskets back. So Comedy Network over here started doing these parodies of them. And one of the videos that was the original one was this girl says, "Oh, it's a female teacher," and she's like, "Your son wrote this in school today. You should read it. It's really important." And he holds it, he's like, "Enough! Both of you know I never learned to read." So the Comedy Central did a parody of it, and he just starts spouting random words, and like everybody's staring at him like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "All right, enough of the charade. I've never learned to read." And everybody's just laughing at him under their breath, and then she says no blank because I can't use the explicit on the thing, but there's a whole series that were parodies of them. Like the design of the CN Tower, he made the original design of the CN Tower was super inappropriate, and then they put it upright and removed a bunch of the other details to make it not look inappropriate. Man,
this is taking way too long to put this together. We are nearing that 2-hour mark.
we only have 5 minutes left, and then Chris is never coming back
Until the next
That's
time.
not true.
until he's itchy again. I like how you're itching to answer questions. I don't think we got a ton of them today.
No.
It was just literally you building an ender.
Yep. That's not that interesting at all. Now I have to try this. I keep wanting to call it Spark Maker. I have to try that Snap Maker. I have to try the laser cutter thing and hopefully not lose my eyes.
Where are the glasses?
Yep, I need the glasses. I need to make like one of those green plastic tents or something to put over it because it does concern me a bit.
Yeah, that's a serious concern.
Yeah.
Can you watch it through a webcam?
Huh?
Watch it through a webcam.
Yeah.
Well, I just don't want to even be in the same room with it. Actually, I think I might actually start with that outside.
Put it in the shed that you're supposed to put the hang printer in.
There you go. Right next to the gasoline.
No, you put it on top. Nice stable surface. The other day we were having so we got a permit so we can have enclosed fires in the backyard. And we're sitting in the backyard, we're having a fire, and I look over and like it's 10 or 15 feet away, but my mind is immediately like, this is a huge problem. And our fire pit's like, it's like, I think 18 or 24 inches across. It's not very big.
Yeah.
But I had filled the engine on the lawnmower, and the jerry can was still sitting there uncapped. I'm like, I should probably not do that.
Yeah.
One of the things I was like, I got to finish cutting the lawn. So I filled it and then just put it down. Like I'll cut the lawn. I'll come back and put it away later. And we're sitting out there. It's dusk. And I look over. I'm like, oh, that could be a problem if something happened and, just one stray amber flies over and gets close enough to ignite the fumes coming out of that nozzle.
Yeah. Yeah. That could get interesting.
That'd be hot.
It would be.
Oh, that's hot.
I live in a suburb, so yeah, you need to have a permit, and they have to come and actually inspect the site and verify that it isn't going to burn down some houses. Were we late going live today?
4 minutes.
Oh, those pre-stream parties, we got to start cutting down on what we do.
Well, you two were like gabbing, and then
Hey, Chris and I are friends. We don't get to talk very often. And I was trying to patch things up between you two.
yeah. Well, if I never talk to that guy again, it'll be too soon.
Yeah. I only talk to him through James. I still talk to Walter on the phone about once a month. He calls and we chat for a while. He's still alive.
Well, he's called me a few times, but he always calls me when I'm in the middle of stuff. He likes to call me on Mondays, like when I'm in the meeting and stuff. So I never get to talk to him. And then
he never calls me, but I don't think he has my phone number. So just say it's a draw. One of the newspapers here, not to get anything political or whatever going, but one of the newspapers here yesterday highlighting Florida celebrates reopening of Disneyland and record number of COVID cases. And I was like, why would they be celebrating that second thing? I don't understand.
Well, anytime Florida can be first on anything, a record's a record here in Florida. No, every time I see an article come across Florida, man, blah, blah, I'm like, no, not in Florida again.
It's always Florida.
Clint said you could call him back. I don't know if it's well known or not, but I have some, what is it? Social. I can't even remember what it's called now. Social anxiety. I can't talk on the phone. I hate talking on the phone. I don't know why it is, but I cringe when my phone rings.
So DT Mash has a quick question. He wants to know: would you run Octoprint as VMS or container, or a Octafarm on the same computer server? For me, I'm going to say it depends on the power of the computer that you're trying to run it on. Although, like various versions of Octoprint running in Docker containers don't really take up a ton of resources. So I'm running all my stuff on I think 10-year-old laptop, and it's able to handle everything fine. I've got 4 printers connected to it. Octafarm SQL, is it running MySQL? It's been so long.
No, we're not there.
Chris, what's the back end for Octafarm?
Python
is MongoDB.
MongoDB.
Yeah. Mongo.
Sorry, I'm exporting information from MongoDB to create a historical in MySQL, and then using Grafana to track it over time, or to display it what I've tracked over time. So yeah, a lot of it comes down to what you're trying to run it on, but chances are your computer can probably handle the workload for it. And now I'll see what Chris thinks.
And now for the right answer.
Yeah, I'll go with what you said. Yeah, it's half dozen, 6 of the other. That doesn't really matter a whole lot. Like you said, though, it's not going to. There's not really going to be enough traffic there to cause you harm.
There ends up being a ton of variables. Like, are you running webcams and stuff as well? because a lot of cheaper webcams use your CPU to do a lot of the heavy lifting versus having an integrated processor. So all that stuff could be more taxing to the system. But like,
Yeah, I like to leave webcams off the table, period, when we're talking about multiples, because that's a whole different thing, especially with Docker containers or whatever you wanted to use, LXDs or whatever flavor you decided to go with. Cameras are going to be a pain.
yeah. And they're high bandwidth no matter which way you set it up. It's going to flood your USB bus.
Yeah, it's a pain any way you go with cameras. There's
a lot of people that will now recommend having a separate device hosting whatever webcam you want to do, and then just reference the URL from it from Octoprint.
Yeah, that's probably a much better solution.
4 printers, 8 cams, Octafarm running in a VM. In a single VM? The 8 cams is probably the most impressive part of that to me. I know once I get above 4 or 5 cameras, I start to lose one intermittently. And that's been on most of the Pis and computers that I've run it on. Well, it's 6:03. Should we start wrapping up?
Yeah.
Chris, do you have anything you want to say? Anything you want to plug? Tell people where they can find you?
No.
You prefer to be found?
It's a secret.
Everybody
He doesn't want people to know.
Anyway. So it's good to be back at this time slot. I haven't been in this time slot in a while. It's good to hang out with Glenn, James, as always. I haven't talked to them even on the chat share thing, video, whatever, for a while. But it's good to be here. Good to hang out with you all for a couple hours. I've been streaming all day, so it will be nice to sit down for a moment. But I am on the YouTubes. I am on the Twitters, Chris Riley 3D. If you would like to catch up with me or see the things that I broke today, that's usually what goes on the Twitters. So I'm holding the unicorn blob right now. That was a Twitter thing from earlier this week.
That was your abstract art.
Abstract art. I'm an artiste. But that's pretty much it. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys.
As usual, I'm Print and Play here on YouTube. I am JC Print and Play on Patreon, Twitter, and Instagram. I've changed the naming so that all of those line up now, so I don't have to remember 15 different things. And I mean that's pretty much it for me. And if you're here, you probably already know who Glenn is because you're on his channel.
We are? Man, I wish you guys would have told me before we started. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings you to me, and I'm going to say the same thing that I say every week, and that is we want to thank each and every one of you guys for being here, because these streams would be senseless without you. I mean, not really. We'd still have a good time hanging out, but it's definitely more important having you guys here, and we appreciate you guys being here. So one of two things happened today. Either a lot of you showed up because Chris is here, which is most likely what it is, or some of you actually did what I asked you to and invited some friends along, which isn't really likely because
Chris,
you guys probably don't have any friends. So I know I
can't imagine why our subscriber counts are going up, Glenn. You're so nice to have.
No, but we do thank you guys for being here. I hope that today's stream was fun. It was fun for me. It was really exciting to get to hang out with Chris again. Because now that those streams don't happen, we really don't get to talk very often, which is sad. But Tony Ryan, you don't have any friends because you're mean all the time. So Tony Ryan's like really mean to me, makes me cry. But no, I don't really have anything to promote or to plug, or things will come when they do. I do have a MakerBox video to shoot, but other than that, I don't think I have anything coming up. So I guess I'm going to take some time off like Chris does, but only because I'm completely out of ideas. So, but thank you guys. Next week, same bat time, same bat channel. I got to find my stuff. And until the next time, as always,
print on.
Print on.